Hi bitch. Or hi everybody. I'm gonna be all inclusive here. Hello everyone. Welcome to today's video where I shall be explaining some survivor perks for Dead by Daylight for beginners. Think of it as a learning guide or a Survivor Perks 101. I will be showcasing the most useful perks for beginners and how and when to use them. Before I do, I'm going to introduce some lovely characters and types of perks in this game. I will only be covering what I find useful in the first characters you will have as an option to play as in day 0 or day 1 of your game. So say hello to Meg Thomas, known for her bad reputation but her very useful perks. Anyone who plays this game will more than likely be told by a seasoned player to pick up Meg first, especially for her perks such as Sprint Burst and Adrenaline. However, to often new Meg players, as the mother of all Megs, Dead by Daylight has in fact called me that before. Take off the mask. Do not do it. Do not put that mask on. I'm telling you, it's not worth it. It's not worth the pain. It's not worth the hassle. Plus, you just give us more of a bad reputation, and I need that to stop. A Sprint Burst is what we call an exhaustion perk. Now, you'll break into a fast run for a few seconds, so you can get away from the killer quite fast with this perk. It makes you exhausted. So if you continue to run or hold down shift or whatever the controller equivalent is to that, I cannot remember. I have not played in controller in a while. It will not restore for you to use again. So try and be mindful when you're using Sprint Burst, especially around pallets or other places on the map. To explain the exhaustion status a bit more, if you are exhausted, you would not be able to use any of the other exhaustion perks as like an LD buff, which makes sense. Because if you are tired, you're not going to, run another marathon in like the next 2 seconds. So it kind of acts as just like a universal cooldown, which is understandable. But it will recover if you're not running, so there's that. Also, there are a good few killer add-ons and killer perks that will just make you exhausted. One coming to mind would be Mindbreaker. Excuse the pun. Now the other one I do want to talk about is Adrenaline. Now it has been nerfed to the ground and it probably is dead and buried to most people, but to me I think it's still very useful for beginners, so I'm going to talk about it. It's once again an exhaustion perk, so do what you will, but you'll be healed at 1 health state and you'll also break into a sprint. Now this perk will not work if you're on hook and your adrenaline pops. Pops is what we all just say, it just means when your adrenaline goes off, when that last gen is finished, your adrenaline pops. However, if you are in chasing adrenaline pops, it would be a perfect scenario. Now to me, Meg is great. She also comes with quick and quiet, which is a sub perk for other builds, which I'm not going to get that much into because I do not want to overcomplicate things for potentially new people watching this. But outside of those builds, go just to confuse the killer or jump into a locker, take a vault, do what you have to do without knowing where they're gone unless they're a seasoned killer, which they'll probably notice these things. But for new killers and new survivors against that new killer, quite handy to have quick and quiet. You can vault and still run away and they'll never know. Now the second survivor I want to speak about is Feng or Feng Min. She is free to play with console players, I believe, but not PC players, so you will have to get her with shards or excels, which, again, these are new terms. I will explain them. Do you have your pen and paper? Perfect. Shards and orc cells are like in-game currency. Took me a while to say that. Much like blood points. So 3 systems for one thing. I know it's complicated, but you can buy orc cells through the store. You earn shards by unlocking them through a rift that is most of the time on, or else through leveling up your devotion level, which is pretty much just playing games and you earn XP. Which can also be found here. Blood points are simply for leveling up your character. You can currently buy Feng as of today's date, which is the 6th of the 2nd, or the 6th of February 2025, for 2,250 shards or 125 auric cells. I believe there's also a bundle you can get, which is, I think, cheaper, or works out cheaper to buy that bundle, and you get a bunch more characters, not just Feng. So, she once again has 3 perks, which I think actually are all beginner friendly. It covers something called Aura. Now alert activates whenever a killer performs a break or damage interaction, whether it be with a gen, a pallet, or a breakable door. You will see something that is called the killer's aura for 3 to 5 seconds, depending on what tier you have that perk on. There's also something called an audio cue, which I'm assuming you can put that together yourself. You will hear when the action is done. If you do not see the killer's aura but still get an audio cue, I would expect killers such as Myers, Ghostface, potentially a Piggy, or even a killer that has an undetectable add-on on. Complicated? I know. But you can see these killers with a pink aura, or outline, depending on what way you want to put it. Technician is another one of Feng's perks that is nice for new killers. It suppresses the explosion of a generator if you fail a skill check, but that does set your generator back 3 to 5 or 5 to 3% depending on what level you have that perk on. So it does save your ass, like the killer won't come over to you, but you are kind of costing your team slightly by making the repair speeds of gens slightly go down. But do not worry, we've all started somewhere. You will probably get the hang of skill checks in no time. It's just one of those things you probably do need to like prep on the most, especially with generators. I will also mention, myself included, there is people that have well over 1,000 hours, 2,000 hours, me, and we still fuck up on skill checks, so it's okay. If I'm 2,000 hours in, you'll be fine 2 minutes in, you know what I mean? Our last perk is Light, another exhaustion perk, where if you vault a window or a pallet, you'll break out into a fast run. It also makes you exhausted like Meg's Sprint Burst, which we have discussed before. Now I do personally prefer this one over Meg's because of the fact that you will not waste it by forgetting that you have it, so you can only really break it out if you vault, which is very nice. Now Jake Park is the next survivor I'm going to be talking about. Now as much as I can respect all of his perks, I'm going to be talking about one of them just because I just brought up the word aura. So I'm only going to bring this up if you want to get brave as a beginner. I do think it's still good to give yourself that opportunity to get fully immersed in the gameplay. So Saboteur gives you the ability to sabotage and break a hook on a killer. It also gives you insight as to whether or not the killer is running something called a scourge hook. Now, I'm not going to get into what scourge hooks are. Most of the time it is gen regression, so you'll be put on this hook and you will scream and the generator will explode and set you back quite a considerable amount, but I won't get into that. What I am going to get into is the fact that you can see if the killer has these perks running this perk. So the aura of normal perks are white and scourge hooks are yellow. You see a different color hook, you know that that person is running scourge hooks, which is great. So make sure that's all written in your notebook. You still with me? Hope you are. Now the next person I want to talk about is Dwight. There's only 2 perks I really want to speak about, not really all 3. I don't want to cover leader. I don't really think it is that beneficial over having the other 2, but I could be wrong. But this is just my opinion, but I am trying to help out these new beginner players as much as I possibly can. So Bond shows you all of the aura of your team from 20 to 36 meters. Now this serves as a massive benefit for you while you're in chase. You don't want to bring the killer over to people working on generators or cleansing totems or doing something worth their while. But also it does help you if you're looking for a heal or looking to potentially work on a generator and get some progress in. Which brings me to my next perk, Prove Thyself. Now Prove Thyself increases your repair speed of a gen from 6 to 10%, stackable up to 18 to 30% depending on how many people are on that gen. I think that maths works out. I'm going to double check on the DVD wiki, but I think I'm correct. So if you want to duo up with somebody, become generator jockeys, do so. It is much needed in the current environment and the current state of Dead by Daylight. Killers slugging, which means leaving you on the floor in a dying state, or just simply not hooking. So please, run Prove Thyself if you want to help out your team. Now, the next person I want to talk about is Claudette. Claudette comes in with 3 perks of her own, which covers healing, and I would only like to talk about 2 of them again, purely for the fact that I don't see a benefit for one of them. One is kind of looked down upon, but I'm still going to talk about it because I think it is slightly important for beginners to run it, but also understand why seasoned players do not like it. So self-care unlocks the ability for you to heal yourself, but it is very, 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 very slow. It is 25 to 35% of the normal healing speed, which again, that depends on what tier you have your perk on. And I mean in that case, because it's so slow, bring a medkit. It's so much easier, I think. Even though medkits have been nerfed to the ground, it's still faster. But also, you can heal people faster with that medkit. So now you can unlock the next survivor by completing the tutorial, which I'm assuming Dead by Daylight still pushes you into straight away. And his name is David King. Now, if I am honest, I do not think any new player should be running any of his perks unless you really want to run We're Gonna Live Forever, which is just healing on the floor much faster, but I don't think any of his perks have a real benefit. I don't think you should be really trying it out day 0 or day 1, especially no mither, whatever way you want to say it. But if you want to dive into them headfirst, be my guest. I'm not going to stop you, but I would avoid it personally. So that is all the day 0 survivors covered for both console and PC, and what perks I believe should 100% try. But obviously there is others you can pick up along the way. There is so many more survivors there, but you have to unlock them with shards or cells like I explained before. I mean, I could make another video based on those ones as well, but these are the beginner ones. So you do what you will. Give those ones a bash, let me know how you get on. Also, if there's ones you think that I have avoided or should have made a comment on, let me know. Especially on the day 0 people. If you have any words of advice on those, then let people know in the comments below. So in the meantime, enjoy those, enjoy the fog, and hope to see you one day in the entity. But until then, bye beach.